Well, my dear friends, Judgment Day has begun and it will take place within the next 30 days. The world war of energies has already started, and what is now unfolding in the Middle East is no longer just politics. It's not just a struggle for territory or oil. At the foundation of this conflict lies something much more ancient and terrifying. I conducted a deep reading session, and what I saw compelled me to immediately record this video because the next 30 days will determine the fate not only of entire nations, but of each of us personally. And the most frightening thing is that most people don't even suspect that they are already drawn into this battle. Watch this video until the end, and I will tell you exactly what you need to do to get through this frightening time. Look at what is happening. The whole world is now watching the escalation between Iran, Israel, and the United States. We are being shown missile strikes, military reports, and statements from politicians. But that's just the surface. Dig deeper and you'll see. At the root of this confrontation lie ideas. And not just any ideas, but ideas of a religious nature. This is a clash of two of the most ancient egregores, energetic structures that have been forming for thousands of years. Jewish, Islamic, Christian, three of the most powerful forces that are now colliding. And here is what I see in the near future. Iran will continue to carry out strikes. The main targets are Israel and Dubai. Qatar will suffer less. I looked closely to see whether Dubai and Qatar would respond. Will they bomb Iran in return? Yes, there will definitely be a response. I can see that. The active military phase will mainly be continued by the same forces that started it, the United States and Israel. Iran will mainly strike at Dubai and Israel and less at other countries. And here's what's interesting. I looked into whether there would be a change of power in Iran, and for now the answer is ambiguous. There are two possibilities which are absolutely equal. The government may remain or it may change. These two probabilities are completely equal. And the situation is literally on a knife's edge. One small gust of wind and it will shift. I looked into the issue of nuclear weapons and I don't see that happening. That is probably the only somewhat reassuring news. But here is what really matters. I started to read deeper. And how will all this end for Iran and for neighboring countries? What are they really thinking? What are they actually striving for? I saw that in Iran there is a huge hidden hope, and that is the hope for money, the hope for a deal with America. This hope is kept in the shadows, so in their minds and publicly, they present themselves as ideological fighters, as bearers of a great religious mission. On the other hand, deep within their collective field, in their unconscious, I see an enormous thirst for money, and in reality they are counting on the United States, even though for now they can't admit it. Most likely, this is exactly how it will be resolved, through a deal, when Trump offers them an option so attractive that they will agree to it, and the situation will stabilize. But this won't happen right away. There will be a very intense phase for about a month or several months, and only then will negotiations begin. But here is the most important thing. For us, this is not just news from the television. Every military conflict is not just about casualties, not just about explosions in the physical sense. It is a powerful release of low-frequency energy, a wave of fear, hatred, and despair that spreads in waves across the entire planet. And when mass suffering occurs in one part of the Earth, the planet's entire energy field is shaken, and each of us feels it personally. Even if you are sitting at home, thousands of kilometers away from the conflict zone, you can feel it. How does this manifest in our lives? Suddenly you feel anxiety for no apparent reason. You wake up at 3 in the morning with a sense that something is wrong, and you can't explain exactly what it is. Irritation rises up, washing over you in waves. You snap at your loved ones, and then you don't even know why you said those things. Insomnia sets in. Or on the contrary, you sleep and can't wake up. It feels as if you've just been pinned to your bed. You get pressure in your temples, ringing in your ears, headaches that seem to come out of nowhere. And here's what's important, what I want you to understand. None of this is yours. You are a sensitive conduit, a deeply feeling soul. This is the energy of a global conflict that penetrates your field and affects you. These low-frequency vibrations of war literally seep through the planet's etheric body and hit everyone who is unprotected. And it hits sensitive people especially hard, those who dream, who feel energies, who notice signs. If you're watching this video, there's a high chance that you are exactly this kind of person. And right now, you are in the risk zone. I see three waves that are literally overwhelming people right now. The first wave is energetic. This is what I have already mentioned. Low-frequency vibrations of fear, aggression, and chaos are literally spreading out across the planet from the conflict zone. They affect the subtle body, the emotional field. You might feel them as unbearable heaviness, as if something is pressing on your chest, or as sudden mood swings ranging from complete indifference to what's happening to acute anxiety. The second wave is informational. News feeds, social networks, videos, conversations, all are saturated with the energy of fear. And every time you read a headline about missile strikes, when you watch videos of destruction, you let this energy into your own field. You connect to it, to the egregore of fear voluntarily through the video. The third wave is the most dangerous, it's the entity wave. During any large-scale conflict, low-frequency entities become active, those very dark ones I've talked about before. They feed on the energy of fear and pain. For them, war is a feast, and they are not limited to the combat zone. They spread all over the world, searching for weakened fields, looking for vulnerabilities in people's states. And now imagine, you're already exhausted. You have family problems, difficulties at work. Your health is already shaken. Your field is weakened. And then this new war comes, and it hits you from three sides at once. Now let's get serious and identify who is in the highest risk group. First of all, these are people who work with others, helping professionals, teachers, doctors, psychologists, healers, mentors. If you are constantly coming into contact with other people's energy, your vulnerability is doubled, because with every new person you interact with, those very low frequency programs can penetrate you. Secondly, older people, roughly 55 years old and above. And not because they are weaker, but because at this age, there is less vital energy than in the young, and the energy field becomes more permeable. Entities know this and deliberately connect through the lower chakras, through the area of the tailbone, taking away your life force, of which there is already little. Thirdly, and this is important, people who are in crisis, financial, emotional, or relationship crises, because any crisis is a hole in the energy field, and through this hole, anything can penetrate. And finally, people who have just begun their spiritual journey but have not yet built up their protection. For example, you've started meditating, started to feel energies, to see signs, but you still don't know how to close yourself off. You don't know how to set up protection. That's why you're like a house without locks, with doors wide open during a storm. Anything can fly in. How can you tell that this conflict has already affected you, that a low frequency wave has already penetrated your field? There are specific signs, and I ask you don't brush this off. Answer yourself very seriously and honestly about which signs you have. First, you constantly feel cold, and it's not just that you're chilly, but you feel cold from the inside. And this cold doesn't go away, no matter how many layers you wear. This means that your life energy is already leaking away. There is something that is draining this warmth from you. After all, warmth is energy. Second, you eat to cope with anxiety and you start gaining weight. You develop swelling, heaviness in your body, your lymph stagnates, and in an energetic sense, lymph stagnation means you've stopped moving forward. You're stuck in a swamp. Third, apathy, a complete loss of interest in life. In the morning, you open your eyes and don't understand why you should get up. There are no goals, no desires, no strength. The trendy term is non-resourceful state, but in reality, this is a direct sign that a parasitic program is operating in your field. Endless fatigue, even though you haven't done anything special. You sleep, but you don't feel rested. You wake up as if you hadn't slept all night, but had been hauling sacks. Your joints ache, your body feels heavy and weak. And another crucial sign, obsessive thoughts that you can't stop. An internal dialogue, some annoying voice that's constantly mumbling, judging, comparing, criticizing, and scaring you. And you can't tell whether it's your own inner voice or someone else's thoughts. When you can't really explain why you did something, when you feel ashamed afterward and think, why did I say that? Why did I do that? That wasn't me. That's when you really need to think seriously about it. And here's what happens. If you don't do anything about it, at first you just get tired and think, well, I'll rest and it'll pass. But it doesn't pass. Then conflicts start at home with your loved ones, at work, with colleagues, with clients. Everything irritates you. You get angry at everyone and at yourself too. You feel bad around people, but being alone is unbearable. Then strange illnesses begin, ones that are hard to diagnose or even incurable. Doctors say that all your test results are normal. They say it's your nerves, but you only feel worse and you stop being yourself. You look at yourself as if from the outside. It seems like it's you, but the life isn't yours, it's someone else's. And this is the state when the entity has only just entered your field, beginning to replace your thoughts and your will with its own. Have you ever thought about the fact that all movies are written and made to warn us? Take the movie The Lord of the Rings. Gollum was once an ordinary being, but then a dark force completely consumed him, and he stopped being himself. All that was left was a shell inside which a parasite resides. This is not a metaphor, it's a real process that happens energetically. And now, during this period of global conflict, when world egregores have clashed, this process is accelerating by tens, even hundreds of times. What should we do? How can we avoid getting caught up in this wave? The first thing that can help us is awareness. Right now, in this very second, observe what you are feeling, what you are thinking. Are these your own emotions or are they imposed on you? If you feel anxious but can't name the reason, it's not yours. Separate yourself from this dark flow. Second, limit your information intake. I'm not saying you should close your eyes completely and know nothing, but do set limits. Every time you spend hours scrolling through news channels, you open up your own field. Regulate it. Third, work with your body. Physical exercise, movement, walks, all of this helps disperse stagnant energy. Spend more time in nature. Remember, I talked about the inner cold? Movement, especially when we move in nature, brings back the fire of life. Fourth, and most importantly, you need energetic protection. And not just affirmations, not just prayers or meditations from the internet. You need systematic, deep work with your field. You need a guide who knows how to build this protection properly. Because I'll be honest, it's almost impossible to cope with what's happening now on your own. The scale is just too big. The blows are coming simultaneously from several levels. And what is happening now on the world stage is just the tip of the iceberg.